Hi everyone, Highlander here. We have some achievement news for you today for Diablo 3, and in a space between the end of the beta and the release that's coming in just over a week, news and things of interest are pretty few and far between at the moment, especially something as detailed as this. And what we've been able to access is coming from DiabloFans.com. Kudos to them for attaining the BradyGames iPad Strategy Guide Preview. Now, that's a product, a strategy guide that will be available on the iPad. It'll be available digitally elsewhere, I expect, and will definitely be available in a hard copy version. I'm not necessarily recommending the BradyGames Strategy Guide for anyone who isn't necessarily interested in parting with their money for fun. However, I do think it's a great little source for getting some insight into the game at this stage where they've got access to stuff that we flat out do not. BradyGames will be working with the developers, so this is legit stuff, and we get some interesting news in this in terms of types of monster traits that are going to be available, different details on different types of monsters, and different details on the type of stats that they can expect to have in later difficulties, Nightmare, Hell, and Inferno. And that's really, really cool to see. Now, it's something that does have a number of spoilers throughout the document, so be very careful if you're that kind of person. But our focus is going to be achievements, and let us know some achievement listings in there. So I'm going to take you through the achievement section because that's what you're here for. But if there's a spoiler section, I'm going to flag that in advance so that you can look away while I talk about it. And I won't talk about the spoilery bit itself. So if you're not so fussed, then you can just read what's on the screen and you'll be fine. But for everyone else, or for those who are particularly concerned about spoilers, you can just look away, close your eyes, something like that. Unfortunately, whilst I'm a spoiler nut, so to speak, this is something that's already been ruined for me, so nothing I can do. Anyways, going to take a look at achievements here, and we have some different types of achievement groups or classes, and this is something that we saw in the beta, and I'll have a link to my beta video as well as all of these pages in the section below, in the description below. But you can see that we have General, which was a tab that was available in the beta, but we also have the subcategories of Conversations and Exploration. And you can see that there's quite a list of achievements here, and look, for the majority of these, with the exception of a narrow few, these are all going to be pretty easy to get. So in terms of number of points, you're going to rake up a good few pretty quickly. And if you're the kind of guy that just explores, the majority of a game, then especially for these, you're really going to get them all naturally regardless. You wouldn't even need to know they're there. So moving right along, we'll go through these each one by one, and the next page does have a mild spoiler on it, so do look away if that's something that bothers you. These are all under the Exploration tab, and we can see we have an achievement for using each type of the followers, Templar, Enchantress, and Scoundrel. Each of those will earn you a sigil accent. We have an achievement for fully equipping one of those followers, which includes the specialist follower item. We have an achievement for equipping a rare and a legendary item. We have one for opening 2,000 chests, which is the kind of achievement I think is really cool. It's just the sort of one where you'll get naturally if you play the game a lot over time, and it's cool that when you're playing along and just doing your thing, you get an achievement like that, some sort of stat tracking sort of thing. Now we have one called Born to Die for dying an item, and we have one for using a particular list of dies. So that's something that you'll actually have to find and use, because dies do have a limited use and you have to go and find them. So that's going to be something that won't necessarily come all that easily. Color coordinated is to pretty much dye everything in the same color. Now, if you have the collector's edition, do note that you will have a limited edition die that doesn't actually run out. So you'll get that one really easy. As soon as you have those types of items, you'll be able to dye them all and go nuts. But there'll be one that's more difficult for other people, or for anyone to achieve, which will be to equip all of your head, shoulders, torso, legs, feet, and hand slots with items dyed in different colors. And then we have an achievement for acquiring a particular item that doesn't have any sort of obvious use, and that's the little bit of a spoiler, so I won't exactly mention what that is, but you can see what that is down the bottom there. Next up, we have a spoiler-free page, so we're all good here. So you can come back to us, guys. We have one achievement for completing one of the level 60 unique item sets. That's going to be a pretty substantial achievement. If you have one of those, you are obviously incredible and amazing, or very wealthy and able to spend a lot of money on the real money auction house. Either way, kudos for you, kudos to you, and that's cool, that's great. There's no actual reward for that. The only reward is being an epic baller, so I'm a little surprised by that, but you know, whatever. There's one for buying all the stash upgrades, which is something that I actually kind of strangely will enjoy doing, I think. There's one for equipping a socketed item into various slots, one for sticking a gem in an item, one for socketing different gem types, one for getting all the benefits from shrines. I expect that will be all the benefits you can get from shrines that last for a period of time. One for using 50 health wells, which is cool. One for acquiring a Templar relic, an Enchantress focus, and a Scoundrel token. One for destroying tombstones, which is great because they are fun to kick. We have one for meeting the different wandering merchants. One to earn 50,000 gold from quest rewards, which is really cool, especially when it's called Sword for Hire. I'm looking forward to having quests where I can go and earn gold and keep playing again and again. I'm really interested in that, and that might be something that becomes quite farmable in the final game. Who knows? But that looks quite interesting to me. We have one for meeting a list of ghosts, and we have one to buy each item from, each type of item from merchants, and that actually earns you a banner sigil, which is significant. I suppose it is significant type of little achievement or reward, and you can see all of these on the right hand side, the type of rewards. Next up, spoiler-free page again. We have one for picking up between 10,000 gold and an epic ton of gold. Literally 100 million gold is the final level achievement, and that only earns you a banner sigil accent, but you can get a banner sigil for picking up 500,000 gold, so that's the highest reward there, I suppose, depending on your point of view. But 100 million gold, that's something that will typically come naturally after you've been playing the game an awful long time. But it's a fantastic game to play an awful long time, I'm sure. Now, one thing I don't know is whether in Diablo 3 you can actually drop gold and pick it up again. That was a function you could do in Diablo 2. Don't know if that carried over to Diablo 3, and I can't test it. So if anyone knows the answer to that question, please drop it in the comments below, because that would be a pretty cheesy way to get to those higher achievements. Although if it were me, I would just wait to get them naturally through ordinary play. We have one for equipping decent items, that is items which all have a minimum required level of 25 or higher. And we have one called Prepare for Battle, which is for listing all your equipping items that are all listed at level 60 or higher. I don't know which ones would have a required level of greater than 60 in Diablo 3, but maybe in an expansion that'll become relevant. We have one for recruiting each of the followers, Templar, Scoundrel, and Enchantress. And we have one for using a merchant to repair an item. Again, you can see how they're trying to teach you how to use the game. Now, we have one here under Conversations. We've got an achievement for completing the main character, follower, and artisan conversation achievements listed below. So that's one of those achievements that you'll get by achieving other achievements. So it becomes a little bit of extra bonus points, and that gives you a sigil. You have one for completing the main character conversation achievements, and that's called Now I've Heard Everything. And we've got one for all the conversations with followers and artisans. And you can see that we've got an achievement independently to listening all the Templars conversations, all the Scoundrel conversations, and Enchantress. Now, I believe those are the ones that just appear as you're playing with the particular character or follower in that instance. So I think you might actually have to play around with them substantially to hear all of those. But we'll see exactly what it is on release. It might actually just be all the parts relating to all the quests. Typically speaking, if it's anything like StarCraft II, there will actually be a list of the things that they say, and you'll know the ones that you've achieved and the ones that you haven't. And this next and final page does have a very mild spoiler alert, so check that out. Or step away from that if it's an issue for you. We have pretty much just saying to talk to all the blacksmith conversations, jewelers, canes, Liz, and we have somebody else here that you may not have necessarily known that you'll be talking to. Actually, a couple of people here, and that might be a mild spoiler alert for some of you. So that's something to be mindful of. But cool stuff to look forward to. And then you have one for listening to all the town merchants conversations as well. And I'm coming back to a save page here, coming back to the Diablo fan site, so you can return now to us if you're afraid of spoilers. But really, we are at the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I will be providing more achievement news in this space, and I have some interesting announcements coming up as well. So look forward to that. Cannot wait for release, guys, and best of luck.
Moo.